Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to another English class here on verbling.com. My name is Lisa and I'm one of the teachers here at Verbling. And in this hour, we're going to be watching a TED Talk together, about 8 minutes long or so. We're going to be going through that, making sure we understand it. And then we're going to discuss the topics that are in the TED Talk. And this particular TED Talk is about sex and sexuality and how it's talked about in the United States. So it's pretty funny TED Talk, and it uses a lot of really good English, things that might be new for a lot of students. There's a baseball analogy in talking about sex that's really funny and is definitely an insight into American culture and how Americans talk about this subject. So if you have a reservation for this hour, please go ahead and use your reservation now if you're there. And if you're not, then you can just join the class when the Join Class button becomes available. The Join Class button will be right up here at the top. And when you click on that button, what happens is a new window opens up for you, and that's the Google Hangouts window, and then you'll show up here at the bottom just like Hamid just did, and those will be the students. So I'm the teacher here, and you guys will be the students, and we can have up to 9 students in this Hangout. So if you are wanting to listen to an interesting TED Talk, learn some new things about American culture and also some good language, and then also have a chance to talk about it, then please join us for this hour. It's going to be fairly interesting, I think. So, hi Hamid, how are you?
Hi, I am okay. I was writing this lesson will be the most interesting participating lesson with you from my side.
Well, we'll see. You know, they say sex sells, but Verbling's not too busy these days. I've been seeing some of the classes have some, more people than other in them, but some days on Verbling you have a lot of people, and some days they're kind of slow. So we'll see what happens. We'll see who shows up. Also, the time, it depends. Some people just come at certain times, and then other times are busier than others. So, have you had a good day, Hamid?
So far, it was normal. There is only one interesting thing. When I was at the bank, I was like paying something for some donation.
Yeah.
Then the banker noticed there is a wrong money. There is wrong money. Then he calculated his money from his cashier. Then he said to me, "It is okay." I mean, maybe I would spend my time 5 minutes, but it spent like 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. So it took longer.
Yes, it was an interesting thing for me today.
Okay, that's we call that like a slice of life. Every day it's so interesting. So many different things can happen in your life, even just everyday things, and then something a little bit changes, and now you have a story to tell.
Yes, and another interesting and better thing, I found a nice website for my hard drive archive, so I can download quickly and I can put to my archive.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, cool. So you can back up everything a lot faster to make a new archive. Yeah, I say
as much as I can do.
Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. Well, welcome, guys. We're going to be starting in just a minute. I just want to give everybody a couple of minutes to decide if they're going to join this hour. So, because we're going to be watching a video, so sometimes if a person joins in the middle of the video, it's a little bit harder for them to catch up and know what we're talking about. So I want to just talk here for a couple of minutes and check in with everybody, and then we'll listen to the video. Hi, Ismail. How has your day been?
It was good. We had a sunny day in Ankara today, Lisa.
Nice.
Yes, I walked with my neighbor in the park, and I just came back and I feel happy after walk.
Mm-hmm.
And
Great.
I joined some verbling classes during the day.
Uh-huh.
And I pick up my son from school.
Uh-huh. How long does your son go to school? What time does he get out of school?
He's 6 or 7 years old, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Actually, the government changed the age,
Uh-huh.
but children who are 60 months old
Yeah.
should begin the primary school.
Oh, okay.
Uh, but there were many problems because the children were not ready for school
Oh, okay.
in this age, and uh, they turned back a little, and the children can start the primary school at about 6 years old.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh. Okay. I see. All right, good. Well, that's yeah, you have to do what works. You can't just mandate that you learn. They have to be ready to learn.
Yeah, Lisa, it is actually difficult because he doesn't like anything to read and to write. Actually, he always want to play on the
Yeah.
computer game or watch some film on television. Uh, it is very difficult.
He's a
And he
modern day
don't,
boy.
yes, he don't eat. Actually, when I was a child, I couldn't find beautiful food, tasty
Wow.
food to eat,
Yeah.
and we have many things, and he doesn't like, and he doesn't eat.
Yeah.
Yes, difficult.
I think you're describing a lot of kids nowadays. That's a lot of kids have that same interest in video games, media, especially boys. Not so much reading.
Yes, girls
Yeah.
maybe a little. They are going to play with her toys. When I look
Hmm.
my neighbor girls,
Yeah.
boys are more connected with technological gadgets and
Yeah.
internet.
It's
And
true. It's
it's
true.
a, and it is difficult to show him the poverty. Actually, I think he is unlucky.
Mm. Hmm.
I grew up in poverty and I had no chance. I have to study, I have to work, but uh, my
Yeah.
son don't know actually
No.
what does poverty mean.
Right. Yeah. It's an interesting time to be alive. It's definitely a big changes, in one generation in how you grew up versus how he's growing up. So I think that's happening in many countries for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am afraid sometimes he doesn't want to go to school, and
Mm.
what should I do in this way? I don't know actually.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly a big topic here in the United States. Boys, school's not the best. It's not the best design for them in terms of using their strengths and their energy and their enthusiasm for life, and to try to make them go and sit down and be quiet and focus on something that they're not interested in. So
Yes,
maybe they need to come up with some other ways to teach boys the skills they need, but in a different way. So that's a tough one for teachers these days, for sure. Okay, guys, welcome everybody. Hi, Anatoly. Anatoly and I had a great class last hour. We were alone in the class, but we had a great conversation. So it's always nice. Sometimes, you know, of course we like having more people in classes, but it's pretty nice to also have you know, fewer people sometimes, and you get more intimate and get to talk more. So it was kind of fun. So yeah, that was good. And hi, Alex, and hi, Ken. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Good. I haven't.
Hello.
Now that I know that you did the aggressive rollerblading, I have a new picture, a picture of you in my mind, because I don't really know what you look like, but I envision you flying off some rail or something.
Now you have a concept of
Yeah,
me.
exactly. In my imagination. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Totally. Hi, Ken.
Yes, hello, how are you?
Hi. Ken, what time is it in Japan? Let me check.
2.
It was funny because the other day you were in a couple of my classes, and then a couple hours later I taught another class, and Heidi was in the class, and she's from Japan, and I realized you had been up so late, you know, and then she was up so early. So we decided you're the Japanese night owl, and she's the Japanese early bird.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Do you is that your normal schedule to stay up late like that?
Basically I'm not old, yeah. At night time my brain or yeah.
Okay.
Or sometimes I'm sleepy at night, but yeah. Today I'm okay. It's okay, yeah. I'm very energetic.
Okay.
Still energetic, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, you know, I was looking for something interesting. You know, I'm always trying to figure out what people might like to learn about. Of course, it's all good. You know, you learn English, and we're learning all kinds of words and vocabulary, things like that. But like Anatoly and I were talking about, of course, some things get boring, and you want to move on and learn about something else. So learning English, especially once you're at an advanced level, it's not anymore just about learning vocabulary, but it's about using it and using English to explore the ideas that are interesting to you. So I'm just trying to come up with all kinds of different things that may be interesting to people, and this is interesting considering that I have 2 teenagers, boys, right now, and I came across, you know, TED Talks are very popular around the world. They're great for listening practice and, you know, coming upon new ideas and things that are happening in the world. And this one was, I thought was interesting because it says what teens really want to know about sex. So there's this guy, Al Vernaccio, and apparently he's a high school teacher, and he teaches a class called Sexuality and Society, and it's probably a very popular class because he seems to be a really cool teacher who is very open to talking about this topic, which can be very embarrassing for some people, especially teenagers, to talk about. It can be very scary for some people to talk about. And so on this page, which is where Hamid just gave us the link, we're not going to read this. We're going to actually watch the TED Talk. But this is a page where he's kind of answering some of the questions that teens have wanted to know about, you know, like can you use a balloon as a condom? These kinds of things that seem, maybe they're obvious to us as adults, but we forget that at one point we actually didn't really know anything about this topic, you know. So we had to learn it somehow, and people learn it in many, many different ways. So I went and I found the TED Talk that he gave over here on YouTube, and we're going to use the YouTube in Google Hangouts to watch this together. And so the idea was that maybe we would watch it together and just watch it straight through instead of me stopping and talking about it, and then we'll talk about what he said. You guys can ask some questions if you didn't understand something, and also I'm interested to learn how you guys learned about this important topic when you were teenagers, and maybe you knew about it before you were teens, because in every country and every family really, this topic is handled a different way. Some parents take charge and they're the ones who educate their children. Sometimes they they let it be somebody else, like the school or the church or something. And nowadays, maybe we don't know what they're learning on YouTube or the internet or places like that. So nowadays there's lots of information about everything available. So let me see how this works. Oh, all right. Let me just make sure everybody knows. I'll play it in my player, but you do have to open up the YouTube app on your Google Hangouts to make sure that you're also able to hear it and see it. And does anybody have any questions before we get started?
There is a red button on the left side, and guys, don't push any button when you are watching the video.
Yeah, I think everybody in this class is pretty experienced with how this is working nowadays. The one thing I will say, just as a preparation before, the title of his talk is Sex Needs a New Metaphor. Here's one. So just to give you a little bit of an overview, he's going to explain how in the United States we use the metaphor of baseball, the sport of baseball, to talk about sex. And he's going to go over some of those phrases that we use to talk about sex. And then he's going to explain his new idea for how we could talk about it in a different way that might be more helpful to people, that might be less violent and that type of thing. So from an English learning perspective, you're going to hear a lot of cultural words that we're using related to what we call America's pastime, which is baseball. So it's probably, I would be surprised if you guys talked about it in the same way, but it would be interesting to hear if you, in your culture, have another metaphor that you use when talking about sex. It might not be baseball, but it might be something else. All right, so we have one more person that just joined us. Hi there, Pathan. In order to watch the video with us, you need to click on the YouTube app, which is on the left-hand side of the Google Hangouts, and just open it for yourself. And then when you do, you'll be able to see the video and listen to it and hear it and everything. So if anybody has any problems, let me know right away in the group chat, because my Verbling chat now doesn't work. Okay. All right, so I'm going to push play, and we'll get started. And we're just going to listen. It is a little bit long, 8 minutes, so try to maintain your focus for that amount of time, and then we'll come back together and talk about it. I might write some things in the chat while it's going if I think it's helpful to you. Okay, here we go. Okay, wait a minute. You guys, hold on. You guys, Prathan, is it working for you?
Okay, it's working for me.
Okay, good. All right, so we're going to start again, but I'm the only one who can, if anybody, it starts and stops. So let's just watch it all the way through. So nobody touch the Google Hangouts buttons there. Okay. So, what do you guys think? Interesting analogies and metaphors. Ken, were you able to come back in and see it? Okay.
Yes, I was watching the YouTube.
Okay. Okay.
It's
Good.
okay.
All right. Good. So, Ken, what do you think there? Did you understand his explanation about the baseball versus the pizza?
Yeah, because since I'm familiar with baseball rule, it's easy to
Okay. Good.
understand.
Yeah. All right. So, what is your first impression of that talk?
Yeah, kind of. He's a kind of a bit funny guy, and yeah, actually, it's for children, maybe director just using these metaphors kind of understandable for especially for small kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Did Okay, let me just talk to everybody and see what your impressions are, and then I want to know the next thing I'll ask, but not yet, is about your own culture and how you guys approach it. Do you have anything like that? So, Alex, what was your understanding of the talk? Were you able to understand what he was saying, and did you have any questions?
Yes, I've understood everything, and yes, for me the principal idea of the talking it's that baseball is a sport, is a competitive sport where someone wins, the other loses. So it's a concept that don't match very well with sexuality. And eating pizza, it's an activity more collaborative, where the satisfaction is it's very important, not for only one of the parts or one of the teams, but for the two or whoever are involved. 3 or 4. Yes, it's a collaborative and
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, you can say it's a collaboration or a collaborative event or a collaborative action or undertaking or experience or something like that. Yeah.
Collaborative. Okay.
Collaborative experience. Yeah. Cool. Okay. And okay, let's leave it at that for now. Let's go to Anatoly. What was your impression, and was it easy for you to understand that talk?
Yes, I understood. Maybe I was not able to understand every word, but I understood idea, and I liked in the first part of this video when we have was opportunity to read phrases on the screen. And yes, and explanation. It is good for exactly for studying English. But about this idea, I also remember it is old trick, focus anecdote, like this. He just choose two way to casual things, and using these things he described something different about sex in that case. And I remember a story, for example, one artist painted one picture. On this picture was drawn a few girls which were naked, and he didn't know how he could name this picture, and he received advice from other person. He said, just take a newspaper and choose every title from newspaper are the title for for your picture, and we can demonstrate it is really true. For example, you can see on my screen, loss of democratic power leaves Arkansas in doubt. Last April. Apple Pay signals new era of cash register, etc., etc. The man who been treated house in Copenhagen, 100 weekend in Chicago, etc.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's a good good story there. Okay, thanks. Hamid, what was your impression of this video? Did you think it was interesting? Was it easy to understand? Did you like his new analogy of the pizza?
Yes, and it is interesting and interesting approaching for this guy, and it is nice, I guess. And also he says there are some similarities between our topic and baseball, and it is not competition, he says.
The pizza, yeah, you use the pizza metaphor, yeah.
Yes. So it is not competition between baseball and pizza. So when we try to educate our children or even adults, it can be good approaching from his thinking.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I thought it would be appealing to teenagers as well because, remember, as I said, he works with teens as a high school student, and he has a class where he teaches about, sex and sexuality, and teenagers often have a lot of questions about this. We might assume that they have picked it up along the way, but a lot of them have questions. They're not sure. They've heard a lot of things maybe, but they're not really sure about the truth. And so, of course, the idea of baseball and pizza is a different way to talk about sex and sexuality without embarrassing a lot of people, except for the baseball model is, like you said, competitive. It creates like two teams or two sides, and so it kind of pits one side, like a man or a boy, against a woman or a girl, so instead of working together. But the pizza, as far as I know, most teenagers love pizza, so it's a different experience, different way to talk about it.
And also another perspective can be this guy's approaching and teaching method can be innovative. I don't know too much information about education for teenagers or adults, but for me, it can be good and innovative method. I can use, for example, if I am a professor for the future, I can try to do this approaching for everybody.
Yeah, certainly. And, I just found out about this guy yesterday, but interestingly, he just had this book come out. So, if anybody of you guys or anybody who's watching this video and for learning English, talking about always trying to find interesting and relevant things to read while you're improving your vocabulary and learning more and more. If this is interesting, he has a new book and it just came out. And of course, these days, in the United States at least, it's certainly relevant to talk about, like this is the cover, so obviously you're challenging a lot of people's beliefs. So you have maybe two guys that like each other. They're different races, different races here, boys, girls, all the different things that might happen in your life related to sexuality and sex. So yeah, it's definitely interesting, and there would be a lot of good vocabulary in this, a book like this for English learners. So just let you guys know about that. It just came out like last week or something. But let me see, Ismail, you don't have to worry about this for a while since your son is still pretty young, but in the future, it's something that you'll have to address, I imagine. So what did you think about this guy's talk?
Actually, it is difficult for me, Lisa, because this topic is a little taboo
Yeah.
in
Okay.
our culture.
Yeah, I understand.
And actually, we don't have any education at schools too. But my son is luckier than me, actually. There is internet and everything is more open today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Do you think that by the time he's a teenager that he might have his own opinions about this or information based on just what? The internet, movies, listening to
yes,
adults
Lisa,
talk? Yeah.
there was actually there wasn't any material when uh, I grew up, and there was no internet, no book, and we grew up in a closed society. It was a taboo to talk about this type of topics.
Yeah.
And if he is going to ask me, I will answer my son, actually. And you can find everything when you Google it. And,
yes, you can.
and our society is now more open than before, actually, Lisa.
Yes.
It was seen to have a girlfriend not so normal when I was at school during 80s. And today is different, actually.
Yeah, quite different in a lot of places. That's for sure.
Yes, and I think a little more open, maybe.
Yeah.
It was more close when I talk my young time, and nowadays it is a little more open, actually, Lisa, because students don't think their lesson or school. They think more about their girlfriend, boyfriend, and social interaction. Actually, even before university, at the college, it is too early because yes,
some people have that. Yeah, some people believe that. Yeah.
They cannot decide rationally at this age about this topic, and maybe they lose their future because they give their energy in these issues. They spend their time to enjoying the life on the party at the cinema and like this.
Yeah.
And when the university exam comes on, they cannot get a score to win a good university, and they collaborate their future.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I understand, because as another parent, I am, I think about the same things that you're thinking about, for sure. Prathan, what about you? What did you think about this video and the analogy or the metaphor of baseball or pizza related to sex and sexuality education?
First, I will talk. I still feel confused about the video. I don't know what he say about pizza. Is concerned about the sex and the baseball too. I not understand.
All right, let me explain a few things, and maybe some other people can jump in here and explain as well. I'm gonna just write some things so you guys can see. So his basic idea is that when Americans talk about sex, the most common metaphor. So a metaphor is what you're going to be talking about something, but you're using different language. So we have the game of baseball. And he was saying that in English, we have a lot of words that are used in baseball, but they mean other things about sexual activity. So, for example, one of the ones is going to bat. So that is a baseball term. You know, when a player goes up to hit the ball, he's going to bat. But in terms of sex, related to sex, it actually means, does anybody know what it means? Ken, maybe, since you probably know the most about baseball.
Go to bat?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, kind of, bat is similar to that.
And in terms of sex, what does it mean?
Kind of, yeah.
Go to bed or
intercourse.
bed?
Yeah, going to bed. Yeah, you could say like going to bed. Basically, it's talking about the male is going to have sex with somebody. So he's up to bat, up to bat, that type of thing. So he's talking about these different ways that it sounds like we're talking about baseball, but in reality, we're talking about sex in a context. So in the context of like at a party, let's just say somebody, like guys, a lot of times, they're trying to score. To score means to have sex. So they're trying to score, but they really mean, I hope I have sex tonight with somebody, like at a party, for example. So then your friends might say to you, oh, so how did it go? And they might say, did you get to first base? Or they might use second base, third base, and then home run. So these are baseball terms, but if in a context of being at a party and guys and girls and stuff, it means something else. So did you get to first base might mean did you kiss her? That could be first base. So it's a little bit of sexual activity, but it's not a home run. So a home run would be intercourse. And then second base could be more things like touching, I don't know, any other thing in between. But a home run is you go all the way. What we're saying. So these are the ways that usually teenagers and adults are talking about sex using baseball words, baseball terminology. And so, yeah, Ismail.
Does any ordinary citizen understand if he watch a baseball match the term like this?
Yes.
Or they are slang?
It's slang, but it's a metaphor, really. So here I'm going to show you the Wikipedia page because it even has its own Wikipedia page. So, a metaphor is a way to talk about something indirectly. So you're not, you don't just go up and say, did you have sex with her? That would be a very direct way. So instead of being very direct, you say, oh, so did you get a home run? Something like that. So it's a way to talk about something that is usually maybe taboo, like sex in some places is taboo. Yeah, so you're kind of avoiding speaking directly about it, and so you use a different way, that everybody will understand. So yes, maybe would it be true in Japan too, Ken? Because baseball is popular. Is it used in a similar way?
Everybody knows the rules of baseball. It's very popular game, so I think everybody understands the kind of this metaphor. And actually, the one good metaphor, how can I say, better metaphor. I don't know how does it symbolize the kind of bisexual in pizza, but sweet fit.
Yeah, I don't. He didn't mention
pretty
that.
much, yeah,
Yeah.
fits to that term. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so basically, as you can see, his opinion, his perspective was that using this type of language to talk about sex is what he said, like competitive. Baseball is a game. There's somebody wins a baseball game and somebody loses, but that's not really a great metaphor for sex if you want to have a good relationship with somebody and a healthy sexual life. Certainly you could think of it as competition and you're scoring points every time you have sex with a different person or something like that, but that often leads to a more violent outcome and not so much satisfaction for both parties, that type of thing. So the idea is to provide an alternative way of speaking about that. So that's why he was introducing this idea of talking about it as a pizza, because he was using different ideas. Like, we want to enjoy our pizza. We don't want to have winners and losers. We want to be satisfied. We want to talk about what we like on our pizza. So that would be a metaphor about talking about what you like to do with your partner, for example. So it gives it a different way of talking about it. Does that make more sense, Prathan?
I understand.
Okay, great.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yeah.
About the baseball, it mean the first base, second base, third base, and the home run it mean the step of sex. And
yeah, the different steps towards like sex. Yeah, different things that you're doing, like it says here. And then if you're not, it doesn't work maybe in a culture that doesn't understand baseball. So, for example, that's why it works in the United States, because let me just see if I can show you, because if you're familiar, that's the mound, but the field, that's what you do in baseball. You hit a ball and then you run to first base, second base, third base, and then home. And so using the metaphor is kind of a way to say you got started, you're at bat, you're ready to go look for somebody to have sex with, and then, think about maybe like in a party situation. And if you get to first base, you're kind of doing, it's kind of fun, you're kissing or something, and then it gets a little more serious, then a little more serious, which means closer to. In the game of baseball, if you get to second base, you're closer to getting home. Third base, you're almost there. And home base is when you score. So the idea of scoring in terms of sex is that you actually had sex, you had intercourse. So that's the metaphor. But he's saying, it's not a great metaphor. There's maybe a better way, a more satisfying way that we could talk about this, and that's what he's proposing with the pizza idea. But I want to hear from you guys now, because we're going to run out of time. I want to hear, how did you guys learn about sex? So in the United States, let me just briefly tell you, of course, every family has choice. So many schools do have sex education. Sex education could also be at a church. It could also be from like a health agency. They give classes, for example. It could also just be by your parents. And then, of course, nowadays we have the internet and books and online classes, maybe, stuff like that. But usually children here start learning about their bodies and the changes that they're going to have in their bodies through puberty, usually in about 6th grade, which is usually the age of 11 or 12. Certainly by 13, they've probably started to learn, about their bodies and all that stuff. So, Ken, do you remember how you learned, and is there any specific path that teenagers go through to learn about this in Japan?
Yes, I remember in elementary school. Actually, it happened among girls at the beginning, at first. You know, all of a sudden teacher said, "Okay, girls, come to the next, different classroom," and so all boys were wondering what was happening to them. But maybe that's a class of to how to teach. How can I say the kind of how can I say English a monthly day for girls. Maybe when around the monthly day started among girls, teacher teach them how to do it or how to start or how to deal with it.
How to deal with it, how to handle it, Sure. Okay. So did you actually have a class? Did the boys have a class or anything?
I'm not so young, so maybe current more advanced education is happening, but still not so many things was not taught. So kids can get information from nowadays in internet or kind of pop cultures or
from their
friends, and some parents might teaching them or explain that.
Personal exploration and adventure. Trying to figure it out. Of course, books even, I don't mean teaching books, but movies even, sex scenes in movies. A lot of people, that's really how they try to figure out what to do.
In my case, dramas and movies.
Okay. All right. Alex, what about you? Living in Spain, how did you learn about this topic?
Well, I learned by myself, step by step. I remember I liked a lot reading manga and watching anime and all this. And yes, I remember when I was younger, when I was a child, and I first watched a movie, a manga movie where I could watch girls naked and all this, and I was like, oh my god.
And
yes, and then yes, step by step in the elementary school, the last courses. I remember my first girlfriend, well, a kind of girlfriend, and we started kissing and doing this kind of things. Step by step.
Okay, so you never had any formal instruction, like learning in a class or something?
Yes, we had some classes of that time, but I remember that I didn't like at all this classes.
Nobody seems to like it,
No, we all were looking each other and laughing and making fun of the teacher.
Okay. All right. Anatoly, do you remember how you learned about this topic?
Maybe just one picture. I remember, I think I was 10 years old, and I came back from the school, and I had a conversation with my classmate, and he described me. I didn't believe. I think I mentioned it in your class, and especially I asked him, it is not possible. Why not possible? For example, look to the novels, books, kings and queens do it. It is not possible.
Kings and queens. Yeah, that's great. All right, Hamid, what about you?
It is one of the shyest topic in my life.
Okay.
I am still shy, but when I was a teenager, I learned by myself, and I could not ask to my family because my family is a rigid family, like Ismail's mentioning, and this topic is still a taboo in Turkey. But the new generation families are opener than the old generations. but for example, if I had a child or children, I could teach directly.
Yeah.
Because it is very important if they try to learn by themselves. Nowadays, internet is like garbage. There are a lot of information, but they cannot choose which one is true or wrong. So if I am hard at some topics, I can direct to some doctors or psychiatrists. So I would like to teach for my children what is the best. It is this.
Yeah.
Because I felt and I lived very obstacles in this topic, but finally I know which is true or wrong. I can measure. So I don't want for my children for this topic.
Right. Yeah, and okay, I'm going to leave it at that because we're running out of time. So I want to give Ismail and Prathan time to talk. So Ismail, how did you learn about this topic? Just on your own, or did somebody help you?
Actually, I learned by interaction with my friends.
Okay. It seems to be the most common, even though it might be actually taught in schools. Even here in the United States, most of what you learn happens with your friends, on your own and with your friends. Yeah. Okay. Prathan, what about you?
Basically, first I learned about the sex in the school.
In school,
yes, in the elementary school. But we learned very short period. About only about 1 month. I think I live in Thailand. I think about the sex education in Thailand is quite bad because they learn about only we learn about only the picture and say about it's not important. It's not reality. And when we back to the family and the family not say anything about the sex, they think about it's not good. So
it's not good to talk about.
Yes, in Thailand is about the sex is many problem because many young people is pregnant. You understand pigment? Pigment.
Pigment?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What's that?
You have this. You have sun before you grow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yes. Teenage pregnancy or something?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Many teenagers in Thailand pigment before they get before they
become adults. Okay. Yeah.
Before they end to get to age.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, we ran out of time. This is definitely an interesting topic, and it's really interesting how it's still being dealt with around the world. You know, some people have really good sex lives and feel really comfortable, and other people have lots of issues with it. So it still has room for greater understanding and, you know, openness, I think. So thank you guys for coming, and I'll see you guys another time.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Bye, guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to another English class here on verbling.com. My name is Lisa and I'm one of the teachers here at Verbling. And in this hour, we're going to be watching a TED Talk together, about 8 minutes long or so. We're going to be going through that, making sure we understand it. And then we're going to discuss the topics that are in the TED Talk. And this particular TED Talk is about sex and sexuality and how it's talked about in the United States. So it's pretty funny TED Talk, and it uses a lot of really good English, things that might be new for a lot of students. There's a baseball analogy in talking about sex that's really funny and is definitely an insight into American culture and how Americans talk about this subject. So if you have a reservation for this hour, please go ahead and use your reservation now if you're there. And if you're not, then you can just join the class when the Join Class button becomes available. The Join Class button will be right up here at the top. And when you click on that button, what happens is a new window opens up for you, and that's the Google Hangouts window, and then you'll show up here at the bottom just like Hamid just did, and those will be the students. So I'm the teacher here, and you guys will be the students, and we
maybe I would spend my time 5 minutes, but it spent like 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. So it took longer.
Yes, it was an interesting thing for me today.
Okay, that's we call that like a slice of life. You know, every day it's so interesting. So many different things can happen in your life, even just everyday things, and then something a little bit changes, and now you have a story to tell.
Yes, and another interesting and better thing, I found a nice website for my hard drive archive, so I can download quickly and I can put to my archive.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, cool. So you can back up everything a lot faster to make a new archive. Yeah, I say as much as I can do. Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. Well, welcome, guys. We're going to be starting in just a minute. I just want to give everybody a couple of minutes to decide if they're going to join this hour. So, because we're going to be watching a video, so sometimes if a person joins in the middle of the video, it's a little bit harder for them to catch up and know what we're talking about. So I want to just talk here for a couple of minutes and check in with everybody, and then we'll listen to the video. Hi, Ismail. How has your day been?
It was good. We had a sunny day in Ankara today, Lisa.
Nice.
Yes, I walked with my neighbor in the park, and I just came back, and I feel happy after walk.
Great.
And I joined some verbling classes during the day, and I pick up my son from school.
How long does your son go to school? What time does he get out of school?
He's 6 or 7 years old, Lisa. Actually, the government changed the age, but children who are 60 months old should begin the primary school.
Oh, okay.
But there were many problems because the children were not ready for school.
Oh, okay.
In this age, and
you can have up to 9 students in this hangout. So if you are wanting to listen to an interesting TED Talk, learn some new things about American culture and also some good language, and then also have a chance to talk about it, then please join us for this hour. It's going to be fairly interesting, I think. So, hi Hamid, how are you?
Hi, I am okay. I was writing this lesson will be the most interesting participating lesson with you from my side.
Well, we'll see. You know, they say sex sells, but Verbling's not too busy these days. I've been seeing some of the classes have some, more people than other in them, but some days on Verbling you have a lot of people, and some days they're kind of slow. So we'll see what happens. We'll see who shows up. Also, the time, time, it depends. Some people just come at certain times, and then other times are busier than others. So, have you had a good day, Hamid?
So far, it was normal. There is only one interesting thing. When I was at the bank, I was like paying something for some donation.
Yeah.
Then the banker noticed there is a wrong money. There is wrong money. Then he calculated his money from his cashier. Then he said to me, "It is okay." I mean, maybe
they turn back a little, and the children can start the primary school at about 6 years old.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see. All right, good. Well, that's yeah. You have to do what works. You can't just mandate that you learn. They have to be ready to learn.
Yeah, Lisa, it is actually difficult because he doesn't like anything to read and to write. Actually, he always want to play on the computer game or watch some film on television. It is very difficult.
He's a modern day boy.
Yes, he don't eat. Actually, when I was a child, I couldn't find beautiful food, tasty food to eat, and we have many things, and he doesn't like, and he doesn't eat.
Yeah.
Yes, difficult.
I think you're describing a lot of kids nowadays. That's a lot of kids have that same interest in video games, media, especially boys. Not so much reading.
Yes, girls maybe.